all these things actually happen. So they said, no, we must get rid of the old boys network. We must get people of different skills into the board. So that was the first time. In 1992, the Cadbury report. 90, this trouble broke out in London Stock Exchange. In 1992, the Cadbury report came, which was the first time. When it came, all over the world, all companies for the first time got up and said, oh, now I think we have to do something about it. And they said the accounts company must actually do two things. It must give a true and fair account of the functioning of the company. True and fair account of the company. Second thing they said is that it must ensure increase in the shareholder value. The share price, 10 rupees must increase to 15 and not go down to 5. So they said that shareholder price must increase. Also they said stakeholders' interest also must be kept in mind. Reconcile the shareholders' interest with the stakeholders' interest. So you understand how slowly the concept came. And this is the signal contribution of the Cadbury report. After the Cadbury report came, another thing they noticed. They noticed that the ordinary worker was getting 1,000 rupees, whereas the CEO, managing director, was getting 1 crore salary. 1,000 for the worker, 1 crore for the... So they said big disparity between this and they said, in India also we said, in the public sector, it should not be more than 14 times the salary. Normally in private sector, it is 30 to 100 times. In America, it is from 1 to 2,500 times. The top man gets the highest salary. In addition to that, he gets as a bonus share. That is the capitalist method, right? So all the stock exchanges said, no, 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 no. There has to be some rationale in how this has to be done. So there a question, after this, the next thing, people started thinking, yes, what Cadbury said is correct. British government said, no, 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 we can't allow one fellow to draw 200 times the salary of the thing. So there has to be some logic, some socialism in the country. So they appointed another committee. That committee was called the Greenbury Committee. Greenbury Committee. That committee was appointed in 1995. 1995, Greenbury Committee gave what should be the remuneration. They said how much salary you can pay. So they gave some ground rules as to how much salary can be paid. But that was not enough. Then what happened? Okay, you pay, but supposing that fellow has drawn his pay for 3 years, he works and goes away. Then what happens? The share value has not increased. So if they said one of the conditions must be continuously the share value must go up. And you must review the CEO's performance that the share value is going up or not, you must see. Share value must go up. So they said that long-term value, this year it may not get much dividend, but you should not forget that long-term interest is important. For short-term you may actually get, but after 1 year everything may go down the drain. No. You must, while getting good result, you must never forget the final result. So therefore, keep actually the long-term plan and the short-term plan in mind. Long-term plan where the company is able to change along with the requirement, at the same time always giving a dividend. So how do you combine long-term with short-term? So that was the contribution of Hampel Committee. It is called the Hampel Committee. Long-term value, and that was a committee set up in 1997. You see, 92, one committee, 95, one committee, 97, one committee. That is committee after committee, because they found so many loopholes and they were trying to correct one loophole after the other. So this is one very important thing. Then they said all this is okay, but one thing very important is that unless the people in the company, unless the CEO and others are honest fellows, whatever you may say, ultimately it depends on the man, depends on the honesty of the fellow, integrity of the fellow. So said, all this is all right, but you are actually holding a public office in a company. So when you are holding a public office in a company, you have to be not only like the board of directors must be above board, these fellows also have to be honest, sincere, people of integrity, people of value. So they actually appointed another committee, what type of people should be CEOs. And that committee is called the Lord Nolan Committee. Lord Nolan Committee. And after some time, Lord Nolan quit the committee, and another person called a very eminent lawyer. Eminent lawyers in UK are called Queen's Counsel. That is, they are the counsel for the Queen, for the King. So that man, a man called Lord Neil, N-E-I-L-L, Neil, Lord Neil. In 1997, this committee was appointed. This committee made very significant thing which is now accepted all over the world. They said any person who is in public life or any person who is the CEO of a company must be a person with certain qualities. They said what should be the qualities of those persons. And this committee for the first time said what are leadership qualities required for people at the helm of affairs, whether in public life or in a company at the top positions, these qualities are required. These qualities, I will tell you, you can note down. Selflessness. First quality is called selflessness. Unless if a person is selfish, he will ruin the company. Unselfish, slightly better. But selfless means he will think only of the company and not of himself. So they said selflessness is the first component. In India, what do we say? In India, we say swartha. Swartha is selfishness. Niswartha, unselfishness. Aswartha, selflessness. What India 2000 years ago said, quality of a leader is he must move from swartha to niswartha to aswartha. The same thing in England they also said. That it must be selflessness. Second, they said he must be honest. It goes without saying. Honesty is the best policy. Honest. He must be accountable. He must be accountable for all of that. He can't just run away. He has to be accountable for his action, for his decisions. He must be a person of integrity. He must not take away the company's money. He must not take away the company's assets. So he said integrity. He must have leadership qualities. That means he must be able to make followers leaders. He must be able to make followers leaders. He must be able to upgrade the employees. So they said leadership. He must be objective. He must not be swayed by personal relations. He must be very objective. And he must be open-minded, which means transparent. So, I'll give you a small trick. You remember this by one acronym, SHILU. SHILU. We also say Shilam, Shailam. So, SHILU, S-H-A-I-L-O-O. You write like that, you will remember when you get a question. Selflessness, honesty, accountability, integrity, leadership, openness and objectivity. So you remember this, these are the qualities you require for a good person. Then after that what happened is, they were still not satisfied. In between they appointed another committee called Higgs Committee, Higgs report it is, H-I-G-G-S, Higgs. They said actually all this is subject to that you must have independent directors. You must have directors who are not related to the managing director, not related to the chairman, not related to the shareholder. Yeah, independent people, independent directors are required who have nothing to get, and they are not going to be influenced by the shareholders, not going to be influenced by the CEO, and at the same time they must be people who have experience of running companies. So they actually said we must have a system of independent directors on the board, so that you are able to see that the board functions in a correct manner and the correct questions are raised in the board when decisions have to be taken. Independent director. There also two issues came up. If the chairman position is different from the MD's position, chairman is different, MD is different, then 1/3 of the members must be independent director. On the board, 1/3 must be independent director. If the chairman and MD is one position, then all the powers are vested in one fellow. If chairman and MD are both one person, all the powers are in one person. They said in that case, 50% at least must be independent director to control him. So it's a question of control. So if you have an inbuilt system of control, the chairman is different and the MD is different, at least you know there is a check on the MD. But if the chairman and MD are together, then they said you need 50% of independent directors, then only there will be a balance in the, and decisions will be taken properly. So this is all actually very important principles in corporate governance. One, the composition of the board, the independence of the board, the experience of the board, the separation of the position of the executive director, the direct MD and the chairman. This is one aspect. In the meantime, one more report was made. In England, it is called the Smith Report. The Smith Report said all this you are saying is very fine, gentlemen, but unless the auditors are good fellows, the audit is very important. So you must have good auditors. So they said auditors must be selected carefully. The auditors must be rotated. The same auditor must not continue. You have seen PricewaterhouseCoopers, what they did in Satyam case, that thing should not happen. So they said auditors must be carefully selected. Much of the true and fair independent reporting is necessary. True and fair account will come only when the auditors are true and fair. So they said auditor also. So when you are looking at a company, what you are looking at so many things. That is why civil servants also have to have a 360-degree view of this one. With 6 committees only, you got the 360 degrees view. Otherwise, you got a very limited view. So civil servants must have eyes and ears wide open, and it must have its feet on the ground, and it must look at 360 degrees, right? Not one portion and thing. So elephant and 6 blind men should not be like the 6 blind men. You should know the entire thing, elephant, and you must also be able to move the elephant. With an ankush, then only the elephant will move. You understand? So 360 degrees view is very, very important for civil servants. Remember that. So you must have a total picture of the whole thing. Right. Now, like this, India also then said, no, we have to also learn the lessons from UK. And in India, what happened was, in 1998, CII, the Confederation of Indian Industry, they also decided, no, we should also fall in line with the thing, because if money has to flow to our company, if we have to sell our goods elsewhere, other investments have to come. Unless you are complying with global laws, with global principles, we will be nowhere. So they said we should also do something of that. So they appointed a committee under Aditya Birla chairman, Kumaramangalam. In 1998, we appointed a committee for the first time, Kumaramangalam committee. That committee also gave certain recommendations, exactly like what was happening in UK, the same type of recommendations they came in 1998. At the same time, I was chairman of the Standing Conference of Public Enterprises in Delhi. Scope is the Standing Conference of Public Enterprises. There are 246 central public sector undertakings under the Government of India. And they account for 30% of the GDP of India, right? I happen to be the chairman of that scope. I also said, we also have to do something in the public sector, because in the public sector, chairman and MD position is combined. So we said if chairman and MD position is combined, the success of the public sector requires more induction of independent directors. We also have to actually be stricter in many things. So we also appointed a committee. The committee we appointed was with Y.V. Reddy's brother, Y.R.K. Reddy. So we appointed for the first time a committee. It is called the Scope Public Sector Undertakings Committee in 1998. So what happened? The private sector, the CII report came. The public sector, the scope report came. So both the reports came in 1998. Thereafter what happened is, company law also some changes took place. Company law also some changes took place. In the meantime, SEBI also woke up. SEBI said, all listed companies, they are public companies. So their accounts must be published. Their quarterly reports must be published. Their annual reports must be published. The annual report must be a public document. Anyone who wants can apply and get a copy of that document. So they introduced, in their rules, they introduced a clause called Clause 49. Clause 49. Clause 49 was more or less saying what are all the stipulations that companies have to follow if they have to be listed, and what is it they should follow in regard to their annual reports, in regard to the accounts maintenance, in regard to the publication of the account, in regard to the true and fairness of the account. So clause 49, you read the SEBI clause 49, you will understand what all are there. SEBI clause 49 is very important because that is what is the operational instructions for all the Indian companies who are listed on the stock exchange. This is very important. Then in 1999 also a lot of changes took place in company law. And then they found, after this Satyam and other things, they found too many frauds taking place. And though the auditors were giving it, yet lot of frauds, and auditors themselves became part of the fraud. So when they found auditors becoming part of the fraud and this thing happening, government appointed a committee under a former cabinet secretary to the government of India, Naresh Chandra Committee. The Naresh Chandra Committee, which was appointed in 2002, they actually decided that we must open a serious frauds